My name is Marian Flaming, and I'm excited to be a part of St. Paul Episcopal Church's program 101 Ways to Pray, because I love to pray. I have a hobby of learning different cultures and different religions' types of prayers. I like especially spiritual meditation types of prayers. You may ask, what is that? There are many different definitions about meditation, as there are different meditation practices. I describe meditation simply as a purposeful period of time of focused attention on one thing or nothing. Then I describe spiritual meditation as a purposeful period of time of focused attention on one thing, God or the spiritual. In our Christian faith, some types of these meditation prayers are named or titled centering prayer, Taizé prayer, or contemplative prayer. People who practice spiritual meditation types of prayers describe them as listening to God. They describe verbal prayers as talking to God. You know that in any good relationship, you need both times of listening and times of talking. So I think that's the way it is in our relationship with God, too. Our director of Christian formation, Sue Van Oz, has developed this program to teach you many different ways to pray. There's two ways to experience these activities. They can be experienced as a fun activity, a relaxing time for families to be together, or a relaxing time individually. But it can also be turned into a spiritual meditation. Both are good. You can decide what kind of experience you want. For example, you can color a mandala while chatting with your family or friends in a neat way to connect and share an activity. Or you can color a mandala while being in a meditative type of prayer. That's similar to what Buddhist monks and Navajo shaman do when they make sand paintings in some of their religious ceremonies. You may ask, how would you make coloring a mandala into a spiritual meditation? Well, the easiest way is to use what we call a mind guide or a mantra. In Western culture, this is sometimes called a chant. A mantra is Sanskrit for the word mind guide, and it's a word or short phrase that you repeat over and over because it will focus your mind on one thing, God or the spiritual. There are many Christian mantras or chants. For example, one way of praying the Anglican prayer beads is to say, "Come, Holy Spirit, come," with each bead. Last year, when I was teaching spiritual meditation to St. Paul's faith formation classes, I combined a chant with a deep, relaxed breathing exercise to create what I call the Way of Love breathing meditation. You can access this exercise and 6 other Way of Love meditations that I developed on the St. Paul's website or on the National Episcopal Church website under Way of Love resources, or on the YouTube if you spell my name correctly. Marian Flaming is MarianFlammang. Now, after that commercial break, let's practice my Way of Love breathing meditation so that you can use this if you want when you're engaged in some of the other 101 activities, ways of praying, such as coloring the mandala, praying with the Anglican prayer beads, or walking a labyrinth. So get in a relaxed position and take some deep, slow breaths. Usually slowing your breathing down to the count of 4, holding your breath to the count of 4, and exhaling to the count of 4 should slow down your breath enough to be relaxing. Let me demonstrate this. Breathing in, 1, 2, 3, 4. Holding, 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Try a couple of those. Breathing in, 2, 3, 4. Holding, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 2, 3, 4. Now that you've got that, take an inhale and say silently to yourself, breathing in God's love. Then holding God's love. Breathing out God's love. The words are the chant or the mantra. Let's try that again. Breathing in God's love. Hold God's love. Breathe out God's love. You can even do this with arm motions. Breathing in God's love. Hold God's love. Breathing out God's love. You can shorten it to in love. Hold love. Out love. You can even experiment with other words, such as peace. By repeating this several times for 5 or 10 minutes, this way of love breathing can be a meditation practice by itself. Now, wasn't that easy? Some of you have learned your first spiritual meditation prayer. One of the wonderful things about this one is it's quick. You can use it anywhere, anytime when you want to relax and feel God's love. It works just as well when you say it silently in your mind as when you say it aloud. So in public or school, I would recommend you see the silent version. Now I want to ask if you know about a time in our U.S. history when a chant taken from an old Christian gospel song helped to change the world. See if you can guess which chant I'm talking about. Some of you may have guessed The Christian gospel song, which was used as a chant type of prayer that helped change the world, was the chorus of the song, "We Shall Overcome." It goes like this: we shall overcome. We shall overcome. We shall overcome someday. Deep in my heart, I do believe we shall overcome someday. This chant is associated with the civil rights movement in the 1950s and 1960s, when Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. organized nonviolent protest movements in an attempt to stop unfair laws in some southern states that allowed prejudices against African American people. In some states, it was legal to forbid African American children to go to the best schools. It was legal to have separate restaurants, hotels, churches, and restrooms for African American people. It was legal to make African Americans stand on a crowded bus so that white people could sit. The Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was a Baptist minister in Atlanta, Georgia. He knew that these laws were unfair and against God's plan. So he spoke out against the laws and organized groups of people to march in protest. The people that joined these groups were afraid because they got arrested sometimes, thrown in jail, and even beaten. To combat their fears and remind themselves that God was on their side in this battle, they joined hands and chanted, "We shall overcome. We shall overcome. We shall overcome someday. Deep in my heart, I do believe we shall overcome someday." Can't you picture hundreds or thousands of nonviolent protesters marching together with nothing to protect themselves or keep them calm in the midst of danger, but this prayerful chant and God's power? Thanks to their brave effort, these unfair laws were changed in the 1960s. Now it is illegal in all of the United States to have racially unfair laws. The civil rights movement has been an example to other countries who had racially unfair laws, like South Africa. That's why I say the world has changed because of a spiritually nonviolent leader who used a spiritual chant to inspire and unite his followers. Thank you for joining me, and have fun practicing 101 ways to pray.